Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, a podcast devoted to helping you take your message, your business, and your life to the next level. This, my friends, is episode number 462, and I am your host, Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast answer man. My friends, as I'm starting this episode, I've got to just tell you, right now, I have tears in my eyes. I'm just going to be authentic and tell you, I've just gotten over a pretty decent cry. Why? Well, as I sit here on a Thursday evening preparing another episode at the last minute, because I've made this promise to you that you would have an episode every single Friday by 5 a.m. through the year of 2016, I thought tonight, what am I going to do? And all day today, it's actually been on my mind. What am I going to do for this week's episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show? And nothing was coming to me. But there had been these little random threads of ideas that, I do have an archive of 3,600 podcast episodes from the past 11 years of my life. And I thought, I've been thinking a lot about, and this is like over the last couple days, weeks, and even months, this little thread of an idea has just been out there. What if I were to start sharing some life principles and things that I've learned along my journey of owning a business, starting a business, and the productivity and setting goals? There are so many things that I've learned over these years that, boy, if I would have known then what I know now, boy, how things would be different today. And what if I were to take that and share that information with you guys so that maybe you're a little bit further back on the journey that I've been traveling, and I can share this information with you as a source of encouragement or a source of information that's going to help you shorten the learning curve, or maybe avoid some of the deeper parts of the pain that you could avoid, and maybe progress a little bit further in becoming who you've been created to be and doing the things that you've been created to do. And one of the ideas was that, I used to have this podcast that was called Pursuing a Balanced Life. And even before Pursuing a Balanced Life, or actually before it was called Pursuing a Balanced Life, the first 398 episodes of that podcast, it was originally called My Crazy Life. And everything that has gone on in my journey of starting this podcasting stuff as a hobby from December 2005, every significant thing, and oftentimes many, many, many insignificant things, everything is documented in an audio journal called My Crazy Life, which eventually, after 398 episodes, then got rebranded to Pursuing a Balanced Life. And that takes you all the way up through January of 2016. And pretty much everything since January 2016 has been then documented here in what is now known as the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. So the past 11 years of my life is documented. All of the pain and anguish and fear and anxiety and all of the goals and trying to think and dream big and then wondering if I should be dreaming so big, who am I to do this kind of stuff. All of those original thoughts, all of those original feelings, all of those original emotions have been captured in an audio journal format over all of these years. And the thought occurred to me, what if I just went out and picked out some episodes that I know that still stand out in my mind today and bring some of those old episodes out of the archives and share them with you here in the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. And I don't know if I'm going to do this every single week. I may pull this trick out of my bag every time I need to, at the very last minute, pull something up for you guys, and I just can't think of anything else that comes to my mind. But boy, tonight, do I believe that this one was meant to be. Tonight's episode is meant to be. In fact, I'm going to be pulling out from the archives episode number 151 of My Crazy Life. My friends, this was recorded September 26th, 2007, almost 9 years ago. And the episode was originally titled The Biggest Decision of My Life. This, my friends, was the podcast episode that announced to the world publicly that the very next day, on September 27th, 2007, I was going to walk into my place of employment, which for those of you who are relatively new to who I am and my story, back then I was working in an insurance agency that happened to be owned by my family. My dad, actually my stepdad, has had this insurance agency in the family since 1937, and full-on commitment that was in place was that I would take over the insurance agency when he retires. And in fact, all of the paperwork and all of the other contractual things, those things were all kind of being worked out and put in motion and process. And by golly, by the time September 2007 was rolling around, we were looking at maybe within the next 5 to 10 years, we would begin the official transition of me taking over that agency. And that was kind of the expectation. That was kind of what I had agreed. This is what I wanted. My dad had asked me several times, are you sure this is what you want? And if so, we can start putting this in the motion. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure that this is what I want. However, all of those discussions took place before I started podcasting as a hobby, before I discovered podcasting, before I discovered all of the things that I discovered as a result of podcasting. And because of podcasting and what the world that it's opened up to me, the idea that I could actually get behind a microphone and share my life's experiences and the things that I know and whatever wisdom and knowledge I can just share from my own experience and put it into a podcast episode. And then all of a sudden, people all over the world, tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people could access this, not just today, but for years to come. What I share behind a microphone can have a powerful and positive impact in the lives of people everywhere. And wow, did that open up my heart's desire to want to pursue that kind of work full time. And that continued to grow within me. This desire to kind of pursue that route grew within me in ways that I can't even tell you. It's just like it became all consuming. And 18 months after starting podcasting as a hobby, we get to September 26, 2007, where Stephanie and I, my wife, and I get behind the microphone together to announce to the world that the very next day I was finally going to walk into the office and tell my dad, I'm going to quit. I am leaving the world of insurance behind. I'm giving you a 90-day notice. And as of January 1st, 2008, I want to create and start and launch my own business. Now, here's the thing. I was scared. And I don't need to go into detail and tell you how scared I was because you're about ready to hear it. My friends, you will hear it in the lack of confidence in my voice as I'm sharing the story and telling you about the decision. You'll actually hear me say things like, I am as afraid as a person can possibly be. I feel inadequate. I wonder if I have what it takes. You will hear all about the fact that this is just not something I feel like I can do, but it's something I feel like I must do. You're going to hear the exact words that were on my heart, in my head, spoken as they came to me in that episode. I've been interviewed many times. I've told the story, and just a couple of weeks ago, shared with you in the interview that I did with Tammy Helfrich, and you got to hear a little overview of it, but nothing, I believe, will convey the amount of stress and fear and anxiety that I had in those moments. I can't just tell you about it. I'm so far removed from it, I don't even think I could even explain it. But boy, I just listened to what I'm about ready to play for you, and it's there. You'll hear it. And I think what's going to happen is there are some of you who are listening to this, and you're going to identify with it. Because I know some of you, I've had the conversations with lots of you. You're in this position. You are right now where I was in July, August, and September of 2007. You are right now in that place where you just like, man, I know that something has to change. I know I have to leave this. And by the way, as I previewed this episode and edited it for consumption here, just to make sure it's all cleaned up and nice for you, you're going to hear just how concerned I was about how my dad would feel about this decision. And boy, have I grown a lot since then. And I want to tell you in all fairness, because here I had thought about playing this episode for you and then giving you a little bit of a follow-up at the end of the recording. And I think that would destroy the emotional power of what I just listened to as the end of that episode. And so I'm actually going to play for you the full-on episode from 151 of My Crazy Life from September 2007 in just a moment. And once I start that episode, I'm not going to come back at the end. I'm going to let it end just as it ended then. And boy, I tell you, when I was listening to it, I had tears in my eyes because I was brought back to that day. And wow, have things. Whew, thinking back today, I look at that as like, oh, that was no big deal, but it was a huge deal, and it was a huge deal for a long time to come. And certainly, one of the things that I want to just caution you about. For those of you who are only relatively new to my brand and stuff like that, you've probably come across the idea that maybe I'm a Christian, I'm a faith-based oriented guy. You could call me one of those Jesus follower types of people. And, I never really hide that. I'm not here to beat those kind of things over your head. I'm not trying to convert anybody to what I believe. But, I am a faith-oriented I am a fully devoted Christ follower, if you will, and I'm not ashamed of that. And I don't really bring that up a whole lot. But one of the things is that this episode, even back then, we didn't go around quote unquote praying or quoting Bible scriptures in a lot of our podcast episodes. But I do want to let you know in this episode, at the end of the conversation, when my wife and I are announcing that that I'm going in the next day to quit my career in insurance after 11 years working for my mom and dad. At the end of that announcement, Stephanie and I spend the final few moments of that episode, and I think it might even be 7 or 8 minutes, in prayer, audible prayer in the podcast. And so I know some people that may seem really weird, very awkward. I think personally it's probably the best part of the episode, and I encourage you to listen to it, not so that you could be encouraged by our faith. Some of you who don't share this faith, and for some who are even atheist or whatever, you may actually be, it's like, what a bunch of simpletons who actually believe that there's a God up there who's listening to those words. That doesn't matter to me. The fact is these were the words that were in our heart at the time, and I believe that if you listen to it, I think you'll at least walk away from this episode with the gravity of the decision that we were facing, and the fact that we had made it, and just how much it took me. But also, I think I want to encourage you to listen for Stephanie. And hearing the fact, oftentimes when I'm interviewed, I get to tell the story about, hey, this was Stephanie's decision, and it was her idea, and she stood beside me this entire time, and you'll hear her say, listen, I don't stand behind you on this. I stand beside you. We're in this together. We're walking through this journey together. And you'll hear just how confident she was and how not so confident I was. And what else do I have on here? I want you to hear actually in the prayer that Stephanie closes, because I start us in prayer and then she closes us out in prayer in that episode. And she actually says in her prayer, "This is right for our family. I've never been more certain of anything." And my friends, I got to tell you that going back and reliving this episode for me is huge. And I'm thankful that I have these in the archives. And I'm thankful that I get to share it with you this week. And there's one other thing. In all fairness to my dad, I am going to give you a little bit of a quote unquote spoiler. Okay. I did go in because I'm not coming back at the end of the episode. So I just want to tell you what you're about ready to hear. You're going to hear all kinds of concern and fear about how I might, my dad might not support the decision that I have. I was totally afraid that he was going to tell me how irresponsible I was, that you have no idea what you're turning down here as insurance agent, owning this agency. Of ultimately, this is what your income can be, and you're throwing all of that away for this hobby on the side. I was just really afraid that he would be disappointed with me and let down. And especially since I had made this commitment, he's done all this work to prepare so much of the fact that I was going to take over the agency. I mean, there are special policies and contracts and all these other things that were, it's just all kinds of things were taking place. And yet here I was going in that next day to tell him that I was going to leave that world behind and pursue something that I have no idea what I'm doing. And the spoiler that I want to give to you is obviously, here you are listening to me today, and for the last 9 years, I have been doing podcast consulting and coaching full time. I've helped literally tens of thousands of people launch their podcast, personally one-on-one, a few thousand, and it's pretty wild where I've come today in this journey. And the interesting thing is I want to tell you, just because you're not going to hear this unless I tell you. The next day I walked into the office, I did tell my dad that I am giving you my 90-day notice. And I was blown away by his response. And if you might have heard this story in the past, but this has not been recorded, unfortunately. I would love to take an audio recorder into the office when I did announce that to him, because boy, I'm certain that I'm not going to actually remember the right words and anything. This is 9 years ago, my friends. But I walked in, I told him I'm putting in my 90-day notice. I want to pursue podcasting or something related to technology and new media, full-time coaching, consulting. I have no idea how it's going to work out, but this is what I feel called to do with my life. And I've never been more sure of that than I am. And, my only concern is how you might feel about it. But regardless of how you feel about my decision, I'm putting in my 90-day notice. That's a summary of what I believe that I said back then. And what my dad said to me was, I've been waiting for this. He says, I've known this for quite some time. I just wanted to wait for you to come to the realization. He goes, I'm proud of you for making the decision. There are a couple things that he said. He says, number one, you can always come back here. He said, I encourage you to keep your licenses, keep them active and everything like that. But you can come back here anytime. And he says, but the thing is I'm going to tell you that you won't. I'm confident you will not come back to this. He says, one thing I can say, he says, you have to do this. He says, you have to do this. And the reason why you have to do this is because you never want to get later in life and look back and say, I wonder what would have happened if I would have actually went out and stepped out on my own and did that. That would haunt you forever. And for that reason, you have to leave and you have to go try this. And if it doesn't succeed, which I believe it will, but if it doesn't succeed, you can always come back here. He goes, but let me tell you this. He says, I believe you are going to succeed. And he says, Cliff, you and I have had a lot of discussions. You know how much money you can make in insurance. Owning this agency one day, you know how much money is there. He goes, I'm going to tell you something, and you may find this hard to believe, but I believe down the road, you will actually be more financially successful doing what it is you're about ready to go and do than you would ever be in insurance. Because that's where your heart is. That's where your passion is. And that is where your true gifts and talents are. And I've seen that ever since you started this. And I know that you have the passion and the drive. And it's going to be hard at first. It's not going to come out naturally, but you're going to make it. And I'm confident and I'm proud of you, son. That's what my dad said. But I did not know that when I hit the record button on September 26, 2007. And I sat down behind the microphone with my wife, Stephanie, and we recorded what you're about ready to hear right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to My Crazy Life. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft.
I'm Stephanie Ravenscraft.
I'm glad you're here with me.
Are you?
Yes, I am nervous.
I'm a little confused as to why I am here.
Well, I just thought it would be best for you and I to kind of have some dialogue. I mean,
Okay.
obviously we've had dialogue,
Right.
but I wanted to share with the people.
The people.
With my people.
They're my people.
I wanted to share with your people.
Thank you.
What the update and outcome of all this thinking and praying and super high anxiety and stress has all led to. And wow, how am I going to say this? I'm afraid to say what I want to say
Okay.
because I feel like if I say it to anybody other, I mean, I've already talked with Chad and you and my prayer partner, Rob.
But if you say it to anybody else, it'll be real.
No, I'm afraid that if I say it to everybody else, then that if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, then everybody will think I'm a failure.
Well, you shouldn't say it if you're not going to do what you're going to say you're going to do.
Well, I know I'm going to do it, and I'm afraid, and I'm.
Oh, come on!
Oh, don't you
I'll
give
do
me
it
that.
for you.
Yeah, I know you would. But here's the deal. You are not in this. Of course, I can't say that. I mean, you should be just as freaked out as I am.
And I am, but I don't have to tell my dad either. So.
Yeah. Everybody that listens to this podcast knows. How far back was the pursuing your passion?
Not a clue.
It was well before January of this year, which was just 9 months ago. It's been about a year this has been on my heart. And the idea is that I just feel such a driving, gnawing passion for podcasting. And all these people know all of this. So I'm not going to go through all that. Episode 151 was 30 minutes of me explaining everything. So this is just a follow-up of that.
Okay. Maybe I should start listening to my crazy life.
You should. At least
I would hope that you would share your crazy life with me without me having to listen to it.
Well, you get it.
So-
You get it.
Oh, I know.
I mean, you know
I know.
everything that I've shared so far.
Right.
So here's the update, okay? After I released episode 150, I've gotten a flood of emails from people.
Since you put the podcast out?
Yes.
Okay.
And I will
Because
be...
you had gotten several
yeah, I had gotten...
before the podcast as well.
Well, you're right. And I had mentioned those. I had mentioned some of those discussions. So basically what has happened recently is I have been getting confirmation, affirmation, encouragement that, number one, and I can't tell you how many people from different parts of the world
Right.
have put in, writing normal text, and then all of a sudden, in big, huge, bold cap letters, you need a new career. I mean, it's just over and over and over again. And not only that, but a lot of people have said, Cliff, it's clear, it's obvious. And it was even from when I first started podcasting. I mean,
Yeah.
people were saying, Cliff, I see this in your future as full time. I don't know how you can pay for that or whatever, but I see this, dude, you were meant for this. And so, I mean, this has been since we first started. But for the last year, I've really even taken some steps to kind of take it as a part-time career, on the side. The whole podcast consulting thing had some very good success with that. Problem was that it didn't have the amount of time that I wanted to have towards that. So kind of cut back on it a little bit. And, I felt really wishy-washy.
Right.
And so basically, I started getting, in the past week, I've been more distracted at work than I have ever before. And I've been more focused on trying not to be than I ever have.
Right.
I mean, I have, for the last 2 months, I have been, hey, I need to forget that the tech world exists. I need to forget that Twitter exists. I need to forget that new media whatsoever exists. I need to forget that forums exist. I need to forget that Facebook exists. I need to forget that podcasting
We all
exists.
need to forget that Facebook exists.
Anyway, I need to forget about that part of my life, and I need to focus for these hours that I'm here at this job. I need to focus it on this. And I have been working on trying to being extremely productive, getting my desk caught up, and I've gotten caught up. I have busted my butt. And instead of sitting there taking, the 3 hours that I could have sold 15 policies today, I'm just sitting there just thinking about everything. It's like, what can I do how can I tweak this way? And I wonder how that affiliate program over at Blueberry works. And oh my gosh, I can't believe that I so screwed up everything and didn't make it, to where I could make it to the podcast expo. What in the world was I thinking
when I didn't plan the 3 months that I said I was going to. And I know I didn't do it because I decided that this is just going to be a hobby until my dad retires. And so I need to stop thinking about this and get back to work. And the next thing I know, I should have been, I have a list of places that I can call, some policies that I could make some money and do that. The whole insurance thing that I used to have passion for. And it just wasn't happening. And then all of a sudden somebody calls me. And a phone call is transferred to my desk, and it's somebody, and they say, I would like to get a quote for insurance. And do you have insurance now? No. So this is a guaranteed sell. And deep inside, I'm like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I don't want to talk to you right. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. It's not that it was difficult. I mean, I could have written her a policy even on the phone, and ended up, giving her the quote and everything. But here's the thing. This has been an ongoing, very difficult thing for me at work. And so I've shared the issue about the father and everything like that, the whole family business. And in episode 150, I talked about how, what my stepdad thinks about me is huge.
Right.
That's a huge motivating factor here too.
Right.
If he can't believe in me, sometimes I wonder, if I can believe in myself. And I know that that's totally unhealthy, mm-hmm. but it's still real nonetheless.
Do you have daddy issues?
I have. I even said I said all good cowboy. I even quoted all good cowboys have daddy issues, and I'm one of them. So anyway, I shared all that, but affirmation, confirmation, 100%. Cliff, you can do it. You have the skill set. You have the talent. You have the abilities. Just from what you've shown us with GSPN, the screencast, your ability to teach and help people to understand new technology. You could be a trainer of programs and I mean, gosh, Beth has sent me an email about, Mac training, and I turned it down saying, I just don't have time because of this and blah, blah, blah. And I'd love to have a tech career, but no, I'm committed to this job. I told my dad that I'm going to be here until he retires, and I made that commitment. I'm just going to stick with it. And by golly, I'm not doing my dad any good by being there. And so you and I shared in episode 150 that you and I had lunch together.
Okay.
And you were 100% on board.
Well, okay. More than just that day, could you tell the people what I've been telling you for a year?
Tell me.
Just go for it.
Yes.
Just seriously, you are committing yourself to a job that you don't like out of loyalty to your parents, and whether that's right or wrong, that's for you to decide, but just go for it. Is it scary? Absolutely. No decision worth making is made lightly, And so I've been ready for you to make this decision and waiting for you to make this decision for a year. So for me, this is so great for me. And I think that people need to understand that about our relationship is that I tend to come to terms with big decisions way before Cliff does, long before Cliff does. So the fact that he is still sitting here very torn about making it and actually coming out and telling his dad, well, I've known that he's going to do this for months now. For months I've known that this podcast and tomorrow morning have been coming,
Yep.
And so for me to sit here and listen to you, it's just kind of like, catch up, dude. I'm like dragging. Sometimes I feel like I'm like dragging you across the finish line of a decision, but in the same sentence, I will say that I do let you, take your time and make up your own mind because, you are the financial stability of this family. I may have to go back to work, but it is our goal that I don't. And but absolutely, I stand. You keep saying I stand behind you and that I support that, but honestly, I stand beside you and support that. And if tomorrow morning you needed me to go and sit in that office with you and you tell your dad and, like punch him out when he says something mean, I would do that for you. Anyway, but no, seriously, if that was something that you needed from me was for me to be there when you tell him that, then that was something that I would do. I would get childcare for Kenna and I would do that because I'm not standing behind you.
Yeah.
This is something that we are absolutely walking through together.
Yep. Yeah. And so obviously I've had the support of well over 100 people that have confirmed that, yes, Cliff, you can do this. You can do this. And I don't care how many hundreds of people say that. And trust me, it's important for you to continue to say that because I need to hear it because I need to be reminded. So continue to encourage me through this whole process. But anyway, as much as it means a lot for those people to say that and how good it feels and how affirming that is,
those affirmations aren't going to pay the mortgage.
That's exactly right. And so, and of course, if the mortgage doesn't get paid,
right.
Who is it that's going to be most affected? It's
right.
my wife and my children. Do they support me? And you do. And so that was critical for me. And so when I was talking about my life plan, I had told you that God had laid it on my heart that I need to surround myself with a minimum of 2 men who would be, this is where you didn't listen to this one.
You didn't tell me this. We have not discussed your life plan.
Okay, my life plan is in episode number.
Other than the vows that you made to me and the commitment to have those 3 children, we haven't discussed your life plan.
Well, life plan meaning...
Completely kidding. I'm kidding.
Life plan meaning just, my priorities. Mm-hmm. And so, but one of my priorities
and I know
that I felt... Without, and I did share this with you.
Not the 2 men, not the surrounding yourself with the 2 men.
Okay. God laid on my heart that I need to surround myself with a minimum of at least 2 men that I can count on for spiritual accountability and encouragement and for somebody to hold me to what they believe within me is God's calling in my life. And that I don't make stupid, rash decisions. And these are men that I can trust their counsel and stuff. And those 2 men are Robert Johnson down in Florida, which has been my prayer part. He's been my prayer partner for many years.
More than 8 years.
Yeah. And so I talked with him tonight. Of course, he started his own business last year. And so it was valuable to hear him speak to me and give me some wisdom from what he's experienced. He says, listen, I want to tell you, Lindsay, his wife, Lindsay's on board with me. And if it wasn't for that, I couldn't do this. And he mentioned another individual that he knows, and that individual's wife is not on board. And he says it's ultimately, I think, going to end up costing him his business. Mm-hmm. So he says, is Stephanie on board? That's first and foremost. And the other thing is that he asked me why do I feel discontent in my job? What are the reasons? And I explained it to him, and I said, 85% of it is the family atmosphere, and within a combination of the fact that there are some things management wise that I don't think that will ever improve, and so it's just not a good and healthy environment for me. And I said, and the problem is that the other 15%, if you fix the other 85%, and it was a perfect work environment and it was very conducive, I still don't know that I'd care if somebody wanted to call and get a quote. I don't know what happened. I used to have a passion for that. I don't anymore. And I don't know if it's a season of life or what, but I just feel confident that my head is always in technology, new media. His advice is, number 1, make sure your wife is on board. And number 2, you have to really sit down and think about how you're going to do this and where are you going to get your money. But then he says, at the same time, you just got to do it. You can't wait forever. He said, I started this a year ago, but it was only years after contemplating it. And he goes, if I would have just made the decision sooner, I'd be so much further. And so after I got off the phone with him, Chad, our pastor, who was the other person that I have in my life that I share these kind of things. And I started off by saying, Chad, I just need somebody to just tell me that this is the right decision so that if it fails, I can blame them. And he started to ask me what I was talking about. And I just shared my heart and I poured it all out. And he goes, listen, Cliff, when I first met you, which was, or not first met you, but when we started to hook up here at Watermark, because we only knew each other by acquaintance then, but we've really developed a very close friendship since then, since we've been at Watermark. And he says, all you talk about is podcasting. All you talk about is technology. All you talk about is how you interact with people and how that's he goes, and you know what? Every now and then you'll come in the office and you'll show us something online and on the computer and how you can do something new. And And it blows me away that you could even have this kind of gift and talent. And he says, I ask myself all the time, why is he selling insurance? And so it was just further confirmation. It's like, so I've asked God to surround me with 3 people who I can go to on discernment in these matters, 2 men and my wife. And all 3 confirm 100%, along with over 100 people in the GSPN.TV community, that yeah, this is it. And I will tell you that the biggest stumbling block is fear. I'm as afraid as a person could possibly be afraid. I feel inadequate. I wonder if I have what it takes, but I have at the same time this passion and desire that says, this is what I need to do. I need to do this, whether it's a job in technology somewhere else, working for another company, whether it is, podcasting full time, or whether it's a, consultant, I'm a podcast, new media consultant. I really believe there's enough out there, marketability. So when I sit down and talk with somebody about it, I get passionate and I'm like, yeah, there is. And then when I think about going and explaining it to my dad, I'm like, he won't get it.
He won't get it, but that's okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to convince myself, that it's okay. And so there's all kinds of questions that run through my mind. Telling him is one thing. And once I get that off my chest and finally get past that and really seek the counseling of friends to help me heal from the fact that my dad is going to be completely let down and have no faith in me whatsoever.
But I don't think that he will. I mean, you have to. Okay, I know your dad, so I know what you're thinking you're going to get. But you have to know that you're still his son, and there's still going to be a part of him that is going to be proud of you for being a man.
See,
for being a man and being able to make a decision on your own outside of it. It's
yeah. The thing is I'm not quitting tomorrow.
Now I have a question for you. Okay,
yeah, go ahead.
Because right now, this very moment, the only 2 people that know that this podcast is being recorded, are right here.
Yeah.
So how do I know that you're not going to hit the stop button and like this is like a lost episode?
I know. I've had a couple
my crazy
of those.
life. I'm like, well, I know you have.
I know.
And so I'm like, here we are talking and sharing, lots of stuff. And how do I know you're actually going to release this episode?
While we're watching Private Practice, I'm going to be uploading this and release it.
Okay.
It's something that's the one thing. It is something I know right now. Whenever I talk about it with another person, I know. But boy,
I've known for a long time.
I know, but take me away from this conversation, and I won't sleep tonight. I won't sleep tonight, and by the time
sleep on the couch because I need to get some rest.
By the time I get up in the morning, I'm gonna go into the office, and I'll be
sick. Your stomach's gonna be in knots.
And I'll be tempted to just go ahead and start my day and work as if nothing ever happened, and probably go in and delete this podcast out of the feed, and hope that only 40 people got it in their podcatchers, that I could kind of just, at least only 40 people are totally think that Cliff's a wishy-washy, no good for nothing kind of guy that just can't really make a decision in his life.
But he's not.
And this is it. This is the real me. I have, but the thing I was going to say is that I'm not quitting tomorrow.
Correct.
I mean,
I'm thinking like January.
I'm going to go. The only thing is, it's like, how do you continue? How do you pursue that? The question is, how do you pursue this with integrity? And do you tell? It's like I can the integrity in my heart. I cannot pursue a new career without my mom and dad knowing.
Right.
That's just, for me, that's not integrity. And so I need to tell him tomorrow. I need to tell him, say, listen, I made a commitment to you that I can't keep. I can't work here beyond. I mean, this is just not where my heart is. I feel that I can make it in this other realm. I'm looking at a bunch of options. I'm gonna, I'll probably, what is January? How long is that? 2 months?
3
months. Maybe I'll go through the end of January.
Next Tuesday is October 1st, so
October. So
November.
October, November, December. So that'd be 3 months. So January 1st, I'll launch on my own. Is that what we're saying?
That's what, or January 1st would be, you know.
That'll give me 3 months.
You work there for 3 months, then.
Yep. And that'll give me the time to think, okay, what are my revenue streams? You know, how do I set up as an LLC, you know, and how do I get an accountant that's going to help me plan all this stuff out? Do I need to take out a business loan to kind of cover income until income actually starts to come in on a steady basis? I don't know anything about business.
Right.
I know nothing
And that's
about
why you have
business.
3 months to figure all those things out.
Yeah, but
and
what I do
to
have is a whole lot of connections to hundreds of people that
with a whole lot of connections. And that's why, you know, I really believe that God has brought this about at such the right time. You know, and I know for you think, okay, Cliff, it's taking you a long time, but but even so, even though I'm not saying that it's taken you a long time, okay, I have known that this day has been coming for a long time, but today being that day is perfectly ordained by God. There's a reason that it's today, and
there's been a lot of preparation in the works over the last couple months.
I'm not saying that you've missed anything by, you know, I'm not saying that by any stretch of the means. Today is the perfectly ordained day by God for this to happen.
Yeah.
For you to come to this decision, for you, yes.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
So if you know anybody that's looking to hire a consultant, you know, I'll be marketable January 1. Actually, hopefully a little bit even before then. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'll start working that out on the sides and stuff. But I'm really scared, folks. I cannot.
I think you're supposed to be.
I cannot tell you how paralyzing the fear is in this decision. And I'm a person that's very prone to stress and anxiety and depression. And so I'm seriously going to need your prayer. Stephanie and my kids will need your prayer. But I really think this is going to be a huge benefit for our family.
Oh, absolutely.
But I want to end this.
I agree.
I want to end this in prayer. We've talked in the past about praying before our podcasts and stuff. And I think we've prayed once or twice.
They are our podcast, so we can't do that.
Exactly, we can. And Stephanie, I'd like to ask you to pray with me about this, and I'll let you just join in if you feel led to say something, and let's pray together.
Okay.
Father, I come before you, and I just want to thank you and give you praise for all the gifts and talents that you have given me. It amazes me sometimes that I've never opened a single book about computers. I've never really read any kind of technical manual of any sorts. And yet, anything that I've ever had a desire to do on the internet, I've been able to just pick up and just do it. And that's been a blessing that I've had with computers and technology since I was a young boy, and since I had a Commodore VIC-20. And I don't know how I learned how to program BASIC without a book, but I did, and that was really weird. But I know that gift comes from you. I know that you have been preparing me for something like this for a lifetime. That this has been something that you've been calling me to do, and the number of emails that I get from listeners to this and many of our other podcasts that say, "Listen, you and Stephanie, your authenticness, your realness, your honesty, it brings happiness and joy to my life, into my life." And I want to thank you for sharing this. It really inspired me to get more healthy and exercise. And I want to thank you for sharing this because it tells me I'm not alone. And Lord, you showed me that not only can I do this, but it's been a ministry tool as well, something you've called me to just live a real authentic life with people so that they can see my relationship with you through my life, and that it's not just preaching and telling people how to live or what they should or shouldn't do, but it's just trusting in you. And Lord, I want to admit to you and to my podcast listeners out there that over this last 2 years, I've not been an exemplary Christian. I've not had a wonderful relationship with you, and I've not prayed to you and as much and often as I should, and I've often been very frustrated with my family and things that go on around here, and very seldom do I pray about it? Rather, I just yell about it and scream and get angry about it. And, and I have to admit that I haven't done a lot of prayer about this, whole career thing. I just get angry and found myself more prone to cursing, and when I could just get down on my knees and come before you and pray. And Lord, I thank you that in spite of myself, you love me and you still lead and you guide me. And I thank you for the people you've put in my path recently. I thank you for the phone calls that I've had with some listeners. I thank you for the confirmation and the discussion with Rob and Chad and my wife. And I thank you for the emails that are still coming into my inbox that I need to respond to. And I pray for strength tomorrow morning as I go in to talk with my dad. Who knows, maybe he'll support me and say, hey, I'm proud of you. But Lord, I'm really afraid that he won't. And I just need you to be the person that I look to for validation of who I am and my worth and my value. And Lord, I need to see what you see in me as potential in this field, that because you're the one I feel calling me to this. And I thank you for giving me a wife that is so supportive of not only me, but what she sees you calling me to. And I just thank you for her. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And this is probably the most I've ever had to trust in you since having kids. You already know how insecure I feel as a father, and now as a businessman, I'm totally scared, Lord. But you've surrounded me with a lot of people. You've surrounded me with a lot of talented people that know things, that are eager to share those things with me to help improve my life without even wanting anything in return. And that just blows me away, God. And it humbles me, because here I am. I want to help people, but I want to get paid for it and make a living so I can put food on the table and pay for health insurance and my mortgage payment, Lord. And get rid of my 96 Taurus that rides on its donut all the time. And God, I just really struggle, and I'm messed up in the head right now, and I don't even think that I make any sense. And God, I just thank you for loving me in spite of me, and I thank you for my wife, and I thank you for my family, and God, I must say that I trust in you, and I hope that tomorrow I don't change my mind and totally feel like a miserable failure. Help me, God. In Jesus' name I pray.
Father God, honestly, I'm speechless, and that doesn't happen very often. And thank you for bringing us to this place. It couldn't have come with more perfect timing, or I've gotten some of the emails that Cliff is talking about, and just to know that we are doing just the best that we can. We've just offered to open it up and share it with people, and to know that is being blessed by you is just amazing. And I pray for Cliff. I pray for my husband, this man sitting next to me, just that you will calm his fears, and that you will help him to remember through my own times with you in the last couple of weeks, you've just really been teaching me one thing, and it is perfect for right now. And it's almost like you've been preparing me for today. And that is that your strength is made perfect in our weakness. And I just pray that you help Cliff remember that as he goes in and he talks to his dad tomorrow, because there is nothing that can make you feel smaller than sitting in front of your earthly father to tell him, I understand that. And so I remember that, I pray that he remembers that when he's sitting in that chair across from his dad's big desk tomorrow, that he remembers that it's not about what his dad thinks, and it's not about what I think, and it's not about what the people on the other side of this microphone think, and it's about what you think. And I know with every fiber of my being that this is what he's supposed to do. This is what we are supposed to do. This is right for our family. I've never been more certain of anything. And Father, I pray for protection for our family. I know that in the days and in the months to come that we will be under great attack, whether it be with fear or with finances or with time or energy. I mean, you name it, it will come, and we will be under attack from the deceiver, from the evil one who does not want us to succeed. But it's not about him. And it's not about me.
Amen.
It's all about you.
Yes.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.